Let's make some trades, shall we? My squad does not have Payne Haas, so first little win for myself on that one, and I'm very much hoping for a great week heading into round 3. The first two haven't been amazing. I do think this is a week we do step ahead. I'm very happy with the, at minimum, 13 or 14 that I've got in my squad, and I think that they can bounce back, a few of them. They scored fairly sort of low last week. You do see like the Taylor Mays, Hutchisons, Karaz, Rapana, all guys that can go 40 plus very comfortably. And yeah, even Harry Grant there with his 49 is a little bit low as well. The rest of the guys, I'd be pretty happy if they scored similar to where they're at. Obviously, Cleary can go up as well. Pappy come down a bit, sort of down to a 50, and Cleary can take those points. That sounds great to me. And even Murray has a little bit more upside as well. So plenty of good news on that front. We turn ourselves to the interchange, and right now I'm looking at not having a looper. So the trades I've settled on, guys, it was one of two options for myself, really. The first trade was to be getting Joey Lussick into the side, and the reasoning for that was I'm looking to solidify my hooking position there. And if we do look a little bit further forward, Lussick does play round 13 if we decide that that's where we want to hold on through the whole way. And if we do hold on to Grant this whole time, then with him not playing 13, that allows me some space to have that one hooker in Joey Lussick. I don't think we'll be holding Levi the whole way, and he was actually on the chopping block this week. But at this stage, I've decided to keep him in the side and trade Wong instead. I am foregoing my looper for the week, and the decision there would have been to see how Strange goes, and I'll show you how that looks in the head-to-head squad. Actually, I'll discuss that when we get there because it'll make a little bit more sense on the looping side, what you can do looping number 5 position and looping your edge as well. So you can put him in the starter and loop number 6 being Joe Chan or Salmon, which it is in the head-to-head. But we'll get to that in a second. And I've decided to forgo that in the case that, see, currently have 3 Storm players. So I'm looking forward to next week. The decision I've made here, so it is Wong out in this one and Lukey for Lussick and Galvin. Okay, they're the 2 trades for the week. Reason I didn't go Levi and leave 10k in the bank or whatever it was going to be is because Levi obviously has a little bit of money more to make. Obviously, if he can come out and tackle well this week, potentially only have a couple of misses, 2 or 3, then he could get into the 30s in base, and then with that low sort of 12 or 13 break even, can make a little bit more money. So that's the first one, right? That's helpful at that. Secondly, I do want a little bit more flexibility coming into next week because I have the 3 Storm players in Harry, in Pap, and in Joe Chan. That's 3 out already, leaves me with 18 for next week. Let's say Keeney doesn't make the side next week. That leaves me with 17. If I was to then have Wong in the side, that leaves me with 16. So at a minimum, it would have been 4 out, Wong, the 3 Storm players, so 17 total. That means I'm playing everyone in my emergencies, right? I'm playing Hughes, I'm playing, who would it have been? I wouldn't have had Levi, but definitely Chan, Strange, and the like. Wouldn't really be able to sell that of like Hutchison or Karaz, anything like that. So going this way, I do forgo that looper, as I said. It might be somewhere between 0 and I could select correctly, who knows? 0 and sort of 15 points, I'd imagine, with the guys in my looping slot. Like, if Strange comes out and gets to 44 again and Salmon gets 31, there's 13 points, right? It does help at this stage of the year, but I do think flexibility coming into next week, because then, obviously, if I have that 4 out, Keeney doesn't potentially make it, there's 16. And then if I have any injuries or suspensions next week, it could get me down to 14 or 15. Like this week, we had a couple of guys out, Lukey, Wong. Other teams out there had Haas as well, so there's 3. And then Seb Chris makes 4. So that's 4 in 1 week. And if that happens to my side and I don't have the flexibility, one, with the cash to be able to move on one of these cheap guys if they got injured, or potentially move on a mid-ranger that got injured next week. If Kenny's out and that's him done, he can be a looper, but I don't need a looper next week. I'll need points, right? So he could be a guy that I use the 200k for to trade out. That is where my thinking was, just to allow me some more flexibility next week and not be so short-sighted in trying to have a looper in this one, right? Let me know your thoughts on that. I definitely think it's the best idea. Look, as I said, I could forgo a few points this week. and I'm loving the word for go at the moment. But next week, it provides me with a lot more flexibility. All right, legends, just wanted to jump in while we're here. I thought we could do, I know a lot of you guys really love the content and I absolutely appreciate it. I'm trying to help grow the podcast section, which is actually, it's definitely increasing in listeners. So I really appreciate all you guys for jumping on. Even if you are a YouTube man or woman, I would absolutely love and appreciate it if you could head over to either Apple Podcasts or to Spotify podcast section there and give me a 5-star review. If you write something cool, I'll go and read a couple. If you don't happen to write anything, but just pop the 5 stars in there, it's going to get me out to a few more listeners, which is going to be super cool, and I absolutely appreciate that. So let me know in the comments if you have gone and done that, and I'll look out for you in the next following weeks and make sure I answer your questions if you go out and do a review for me. So thanks so much for doing that. So as I say, guys, this one here in my squad is a week that I hope to gain some ranks, not having Haas. A lot of people are going to be going for sort of 400, 500, 600k in the bank. Some will go for the Nico Hines treatment. Some will go for Isaiah Yeo. Some will go for a Hopgood. Some will fix up their wing fullback and get a Ponga or something like that. A Teddy, a Turbo. I would love Turbo on my side, but that's not how it's going to work this week. And I suppose, at worst, this 200k in the bank is going to allow me to potentially get to a Tommy T. If I did happen to lose one of my wing fullbacks or centers, or I'm not really happy with Karaz, that 200k is going to allow me to get to Tommy and make any other changes I need to in my squad. Obviously, we've got Fine Furiaki, who I haven't selected in my squad yet. He could be a very easy straight swap for any of these cheapies that get injured or just aren't making any money anymore. Like if Levi flops again and gets a 26, then his money making is potentially done for, so he could be an easy guy to switch. And now that I do have the hooking cover with Grant and Lussick, it puts me in a good situation. With the mids and the edges now, so fairly strong in that position, but I do have only Salmon and then Chan and Hughes as my cover, so not crazy good scorers. I do have Ben Trebojevic who could slot up there as well. But just when you're making your trades this week, guys, make sure that you do have some coverage for Grant next week and Pap. Just as I said, in that theory, in the thought that there's a high chance that guys will get suspended or injured. It happens most weeks, to be honest with you, and every second week you'd say at least is how something like that pans out. So that's where planning a little bit in advance is good. We speak about round 13 planning and stuff. That with that one with Origin guys, that when you have 4 trades, it's probably a little bit easier to plan, to make those trades just in round 13 and not go early because guys can get injured and the like. Where in this scenario here, you are planning for injuries and suspensions and everything else. So going that 1 week early on a guy that's probably going to make a bit of money or score well this week, and then just hope that they last through, and then they can be a good coverage next week. And then if things go well, you don't actually have to make trades in that week. So that can be a helpful way to think about it with your side. So let me know how you're set up for this week. And I really appreciate anyone who goes and does one of those reviews. You're all absolute legends. So that's the squad this week. Let's hope we do well. The sit v starts on the interchange bench. My theories on them and my reasoning. Let me know if this is the way you'd go for it. But I do think Galvin has a little bit more upside this week than that of Ethan Strange. He's a bit more of the focal point in that attack. Yes, it's the Tigers. Hopefully they do bounce back a little bit, but I do think that even without that try, he can get the 40 odd. If Strange doesn't get a try, I think he's in the 20s. So I'm going to go for Galvin, trading him in. Got to back him in. Let's hope for a 40. Last 6 very clear. Obviously a guy that can get anywhere between 38 and 60. Salmon, he's the one that I'm not super keen on at the moment, and would have been the one that I would be looping at this stage, but at this, as in my thinking, it's either Joe Chan or it's Salmon at this point. And I'm going to go with Keeney. They have a nice matchup this week, obviously, against the Bulldogs. He had a game to forget, I suppose, like the whole Titans team did. So he won't want to be remembering that. And he wasn't able to show what he can do. So he's definitely a guy that can get into the 40 mark with some upside for sure. Joe Chan coming up against the Newcastle Knights right edge, which is Dane Gagai and Tyson Frizzell. Not super ideal in my opinion for missed tackles, because Gagai is an absolute gem at those for sure, and so is Tyson Frizzell. He'll get plenty of traffic, and I think he'll miss a few tackles and might not get the attacking stats. So that's where, like, if Salmon can get 50 odd minutes, maybe get his PPM up a little bit, that could be cool. But he does move around to the edges and the like. So that's the one I'm kind of pushing unsure. But yeah, his PPM at start of games is great, and then when he moves, things don't seem to happen as much. So that's the only one I'm worried about. But again, if I can get a 30 out of that slot, I'm not too stressed. And if I can get anywhere between 30 and 40 out of Galvin and Keeney, I'll be happy with that as well. Awesome, guys. Let's move to the head-to-head squad. And we have decided overall, I think, to give ourselves a lot of cash in the bank. So 581k, guys. Payne Haas comes out of the side for Terrell May, who I should have got last week. And then we lose Helam Leluki as well. So May comes in, Galvin comes in. At this stage is where I'm going with it. So I can go anywhere up to 840k with this Galvin one, 842, which is pretty wild when you look at the types of players you can get all the way up to that price. You're looking at sort of Hopgood being the best, DCEs, the Johnsons, Latrells, Cam Murrays, all these types of guys that could get into our squad, which is very, very cool. I don't need a half at the moment. I may need, a better wing fullback, another wing fullback or center, but I think we'll be fine for next week. We'll find out. And I suppose with that cash in the bank, we could go any of these cheapies. If Keeney doesn't make it, he could go to one of those gun wing fullbacks. I obviously don't think it's going to be a big moving week for this squad, with Haas being out, with the Wong issues, the holding Satili. You've got Lukey I had in there as well. It's all not going to be extremely ideal, but I do think that we'll be able to hold rank or something close, and then next week be able to launch a bit more. So without Harry Grant in this side, just having Joe Chan and Pat, I definitely think that we can do pretty well next week, depending what we do with Hosking next week. And we've got him off the bench. If that's going to be the case, and then that's a little bit of a worry. Like Sully, is he going to score well? Other guys in his team, like we need Brandon Smith to get some extra minutes. So there's a lot of more, I suppose, worrying signs just for this week only in the head-to-head side. So I very much hope and expect my team to outdo this one. But when we're looking at a head-to-head team, guys, you want to focus on money first. And I do believe that Galvin is the best guy to make money this week. You could look at guys like Kurt Mann, Josh Curran, all really, really solid options, but they're at prices that are very much in our bracket at $497 for Kurt Mann, at $547 for Josh Curran, and could easily score a little bit more than that of Galvin, but Galvin's most likely to make the most money this week. And as I said, as a head-to-head team who's won both their first two matchups, it's an easy decision to make. And then next week we can look at Fina Firiaki as well as a good cash maker. We can look at, I think we probably have to avoid guys like Lussick and the like next week. We'll have to sort that one out. I suppose I could go for a Lussick this week just to give me some more hooker cover. Him over Galvin could be the play. Who's going to make, if he scores well this week at 50, he's probably going to make a similar amount of money as Galvin that gets in the 30 or 40s range. So it's definitely an option. Curran gives me a little bit of help in the the edge and the mids, considering I've got Hosking as a potential issue next week, only sitting there with Salmon and Chan, with Wong not playing. So there's a few things there, and as I said, centre will probably look to improve at some point if Sully doesn't pull his finger out and get some attacking stats. It is all the helpers on his inside. Hopefully he can sort of run not straight at people and find a gap. Would be delightful. But overall it's a position we're in where we're all about gaining some money this week. And Terrell's going to do that, and Galvin's going to do that. So it's pretty simple overall on that front. Let me know your general theory with your head-to-head team, and if you are sort of none from two in your matchups, then maybe you are looking a little bit more to points. So a mixture of points and the cash grab rather than just the cash grab in Galvin with sort of solid points. You're looking for like close to a 50-point effort with some cash grab potential as well. They're probably the differences that you're looking at now in a head-to-head side, just basing on if you are winning games at the moment or not. So thank you so much, guys, for being here in this trades video / podcast. You're all absolute legends. Let me know what trades you're making, and have a cracking week. Tonight's going to be fun.